Kia ora everyone, welcome to another session of our virtual yoga club. Today we are doing a lower body release. So this pairs quite nicely with the upper body release we did a little while ago. Hope you enjoy it. We're going to start today in our butterfly pose. So feet together, pull them in as far as you can, as is comfortable for you. Link your fingers together, loop them around your feet, pull up the spine nice and tall, taking some deep breaths here. Every time you exhale today, we're going to think about sinking a little bit deeper in the stretch. From here we're going to pull our elbows down onto our calves, keeping that back nice and straight but pulling yourself forward. Big deep breaths in. We're going to come up to a straight sitting position, taking our right leg out to the side. Bring the left one in if you can. Arms up, big deep breath in. Rotate the hips over that right leg, hands either side of the leg, eyes on the toes. And coming up, we're going to swap sides now, so take the left leg out to the side, bring the right one in, arms up, deep breath in, hands either side of the leg, pulling the toes back towards the knee. And we're going to come back up, take that right leg out again, so we're in our seated straddle position. Toes are still coming back towards the knee. Arms up, bring the arms forward, hands just resting on the ground. I'm not hunched forward, my back's still nice and straight. Eyes in front. And coming back up. Okay, the first pose we're going to get into today is our low lunge with a spinal twist. So come first of all to a kneeling position. We'll start with our right leg, bring it up in front, bring the arms up, take a nice deep breath in, then bringing the left hand to the outside of my right knee, twisting and looking over my shoulder. To enhance the stretch for your hips, tuck your tailbone under and push those hips forward. counteract our twist with a runner's lunge today. So we're going to come up, back to centered, and we're going to bring the hips forward, hands either side of that right leg, sitting back, stretching out the back of that front leg. Up, swapping the legs over, so the left leg is coming into the front now. Arms up, inhale. Right hand to the outside of the left knee, twisting, looking over that left shoulder. Remember, tuck the tailbone under and push the hips forward to enhance that stretch. Coming back to center, sitting back in that runner's lunge. And coming back up. Okay, we're going to move into our lizard. We're going to do a few different extensions for our lizard pose, and moving forward into the sessions you can use whichever extension you feel like doing that day when we do lizard pose. Okay, so we're going to start with our right leg in front, bringing the hands down inside that right foot, and we're going to start with our assisted lizard or our basic lizard. I'm going to push my hips forward, keeping my arms straight and my hands resting on the mat, eyes forward. Our extensions here are to pick up that back leg first of all, so make it a lunge, or dropping the forearms down. If you want, you can add both of those together. Otherwise, just how we started with the back knee down and hands on the mat is just fine. Alright, pushing that weight back into that back leg so we can come back up, swap the legs over and do the same again on that other side. Starting with just the hands resting on the mat and that back knee down. You can pick that back leg up. Drop the forearms, or both, depending on the intensity that you're looking for. When you're ready, pushing those hips back to transfer the weight, bring that front leg back, and we'll rest in hero pose for just a second. Okay, we're going to transition into our downward dog with a hip opener today. We'll start with just a regular downward dog. We'll come out of it into hare pose. Then our second time around, we'll do the hip opener on each side. So starting in a tabletop position, tuck the toes under, hips up and back. If you want to do a little bit of walking dog, you can. Otherwise, just holding that downward dog position, pushing the hips up to the ceiling. When you're ready, drop the knees down, bring them out to the side a little bit more. Coming back up, we'll head into our downward dog again. Our hip opener starting with the left leg. So pushing, tucking the toes under, pushing the hips up and back. When you're ready, take that left leg up and open that hip. My gaze has moved to in between my hands on the mat. Just hold this one for as long as you can. When you want to switch it over, we're going to go straight into the other side, so make sure that you don't need a rest in between. If you do, come down, shake it out. Otherwise, straight into the other side. Up and open the hip, eyes between the hands. When you're ready, bring that foot back down, drop the knees, sitting back into that hero pose. If you want to pause the video and go back and do those two again, one on each side, go for it. Otherwise, we'll move into our pigeon. So to move into our pigeon, we're going to come into a high plank position. First of all, we're going to pick up the legs. Left leg comes in, left knee to left wrist, left heel is under right hip. So just like our lizard pose, we're going to do some extensions for our pigeon today. This is our first simple version of our pigeon pose, hands resting on the mat. If you want to make it more of a lunge, pick up that back leg, which stretches out the back leg as well. If you want to relax into the stretch a little bit more, bring the forearms down onto the mat, into that low pigeon. Next extension is to pick up the upper body, bring the palms to the chest. Finally, pick up that back leg as well into the lunge. Lots of different ways you can do your pigeon pose. Remember also to have a play with that distance from that back leg. If it's not enough of a stretch, push that back leg further back. If it's too much or if it's too uncomfortable, just pick that leg up, bring it further in and ease off on the stretch. Alright, must be time to switch sides. Let's tuck the toe under at the back, lifting up into that plank again. Push back a little bit into a sort of downward dog stretch just to counteract that stretch. Coming back down, bring the right leg forward this time. Right knee is at right wrist, right heel is just sitting under my left hip. Just a quick reminder of those progressions. Pick the back leg up, bring the forearms down. You could also pick the back leg up while your forearms are down, I guess, if you wanted to. Bringing the torso up. Bring the torso up and the back leg up. There are some further pigeon extensions as well, but for now we're just going to stick to these ones. Remember, your yoga practice is entirely up to you. Not only do you get to pick what level or extension suits you best, but go with how you're feeling on the day. Not every session that you do is going to be the same, and so if you can do a full extended pigeon one day but it feels tricky the next, that's okay. You just got to listen to your body and do what feels right for you at the time. Doesn't mean that you can't do it, just means that it's not the right thing for you to do at that moment. Alright, let's pick up that back leg. Mini downward dog stretch again. Back onto our knees. Okay, we're going to move into a low squat pose, otherwise known as garland pose. This one can be tricky for people to get into. So just do it at whatever level you can. You might not be able to come all the way down. That's totally fine. It can give you something to work towards. So we're going to come up to standing. With this pose, I tend to have a bit of a wider stance. And you might want to play around with your foot direction as well. So having a little bit of toes out to the side might make it easier, it might not, totally up to you. So basically we're going to come down into our low squat. My elbows are resting on the inside of my knees. If you want to enhance the stretch, you can use the elbows to push the knees out. Otherwise, you can just have them resting there. Keeping your back as straight as possible, so I don't want to be hunching forward. I'm not directly straight up, but I'm keeping my spine nice and neutral. My gaze is just in front of me, and I'm really going to relax into the stretch. Have a body scan and feel where you can notice the stretch happening in your lower body most of all. For me at the moment it's happening in my calves. You may feel it in your hips, quads and hammies as well, glutes. It'll just depend on where you are tight. If you need something to hold on to in front of you, like the edge of the couch or a coffee table, that's totally fine. Just make sure you're keeping that spine nice and neutral. Feet flat on the ground. To counteract this one today, we're going to bring our hands down, our fingertips down, and just stand up and stretch out the back of those legs. A bit like a forward fold, except I have a wider stance. Find a bit of movement, loosen up anything that's tight. Slowly come up to standing. Good. Alright, we're going to do a high lunge. We're going to get ourselves into a high lunge position today, just like we would if we were doing our warrior pose. So we're going to turn our right foot out to the side, pick the left leg up, bring it forward. Arms up to the sky, eyes between my hands, so I'm getting a little bit of an extra stretch in this one today. To make it harder, just bring that lunge further forward, making sure you can always see your toes. If you need to make a wider stance for your lunge, that's okay. Arms down. We'll swap to the other side. So I'm just going to come to the other side of my mat. You don't have to. Left leg out to the side, right leg forward in the lunge. Hips over that right leg. Arms up. Eyes up to the sky between your hands. Arms down, pick that back leg up, shake it out. We're going to head into our Namaste forward bend, otherwise known, I found out the other day, as pyramid pose. So we're going to start in the same way. Unlike our previous stretch though, we're going to keep our legs straight this time. So a smaller stance, hips over that front leg, and this is the pose where, since my left leg is forward, I'm pulling my left hip back, pushing my right hip forward so that they balance out. My arms are going to come behind my back. I'm just going to hold on to my hands. If you can reach your forearms, that's even better. Hinging from the hips, I'm going to come down, keeping my legs straight to a flat back position. Pushing that left hip back, pulling that right hip forward. To enhance the stretch, bring your fingertips down either side of that front foot, keeping those legs straight. Coming up from that one, we're going to change to the other side. So right foot comes out to the side, left foot forward, hips over that left foot, pulling the right hip back, pushing the left hip forward, keeping those legs straight, hinging from the hips. To enhance the stretch, fingertips come down either side of that front foot. And we keep thinking about what those hips are doing, trying to balance them out. When you're ready, slowly coming up. To come up, I really pushed into that front foot. So we don't even want to just flop out of a pose. Remember, we talked about a couple of videos ago our intentions and how a pose starts when you get into it, and as you come out of it is when it ends. If that makes sense. It's not just while you're holding the pose, it's how you get into it and come out of it. That's what I meant to say. Okay, one more standing pose, and we're going to head back down onto the mat. So we're going to do a forward fold, feet together. So I would say toes, ankles, knees together. Watch out if there's anything above your head that you might hit when you bring your arms up. Hinging forward and hanging in that forward fold. So fingertips to the ground, you can hold on to the back of your calves, you can hold on to your elbows and just hang. It's entirely up to you. Taking some nice deep breaths. So I'm not putting any pressure on my legs, just resting my hands there. If you want to take a big deep breath in, come up to a flat back, breathe in, and sink down again. Slowly, one vertebra at a time, we're going to come up to standing. Your head should be the last thing that comes up. Good, let's come down onto our mats. We're going to start with an extended puppy extension. So maybe extended puppy. Basically, we're going to have one leg out to the side in our extended puppy pose. So I'm going to do it this way first of all, so you can see. My foot is flat, my toes are pointed forwards. I'm pushing my hips back. I actually haven't got my toes tucked under. That's a little uncomfortable. You can do it that way if you want to. So my hands are the only thing that's resting on the mat in terms of my upper body. My arms, my chest, my head, my torso are off the mat. Come up. I'll do it side on this time so you can see it from a different perspective. Foot out to the side, reaching the arms forward, pushing the hips back. When you're ready, coming back up, take that leg back. Good. Okay, we're going to come into a new pose that we haven't done yet. This is called half pry. This is not unlike a standing quad stretch that you may have done as a warm-up or a cool-down at the gym. So we're going to give this one a go, but we're actually going to do it lying face down on the mat. So come onto your belly on your mat, and what we're going to do is we're going to reach back, grab that foot, and pull our heel in towards our glutes. So kick yourself in the butt basically. And this is stretching out the quad or the front of our thigh. You can get your heel to touch your glute, that's even better. Otherwise, just pulling it towards your butt is just going to do as much as we can. Don't put too much pressure on the ankle joint either. It starts to hurt the ankle, ease off a little bit. Swap to the other side. And release. Good, so we stretch our quads out. We're now going to roll onto our backs, into our bridge pose. So back flat on the mat. We're going to bring our heels up, nice and close to our butt. And then when you're ready, arms down by your side, we're going to push up into that bridge pose. Squeeze your glutes. Keep breathing. Shouldn't be any pressure on your neck. The weight should be loaded across your shoulders. We're going to counteract our bridge today. We're going to come down into our happy baby pose. Good, let's do another bridge. Pushing up. Squeeze the glutes. Pushing into the soles of your feet onto the mat. When you're ready, drop the hips down. Come into that happy baby one more time. Alright, while we're on our backs, we're going to do a spinal twist. Arms out at shoulder height. Pick the knees up. We're going to go over to the left side first. Drop the knees to the side. Looking back over your right shoulder. Knees back to center, drop them to the other side. Legs are on the right side now, so I'm looking back over my left arm. Legs back to center. Alright, we've got a couple more lying poses to do. The first one is our legs up the wall, but we're going to use our legs up the wall to do our thread the needle stretch for our lower body, because the wall can be a really great tool to use to help enhance that stretch and make it a little bit deeper. So, bringing yourself nice and close to the wall. My butt is right up against the wall. I'm going to rotate, lie on my back. Now I'm going to shuffle myself around. glamorous as that was. So my heels, my legs and my butt are all in contact with the wall. This is one of my favorite poses to be in. You can really easily do this. I don't have a bed head, so I can do this with my butt up against the wall on my bed. Heavenly. But what we're going to do today is take that left leg first, bring it across your right thigh. Then I'm going to bring my foot down on the wall and stretch that outside of that hip. So you're in control of how deep the stretch is. The wall is going to help you make it nice and intense. Really stretch out those glutes. So you're bending that knee, bringing your foot flat on the wall, down as far as you want to enhance that stretch. Okay, we're going to swap those legs over. The right leg's coming across my thigh now, my left thigh. I'm not resting on the knee because the knee is going to bend. Oh, that one's a little bit tighter. And release. Just going to take a couple of breaths here before we come out of our legs up the wall stretch. To come out of this extremely glamorous position, we're going to bring our legs across, roll to the side and come back up. Easy. Okay, before we head into our Lotus Sequence, we're going to grab our straps and do our lying strap stretches. So remember, if you don't have a yoga strap, you can use a belt, a dressing gown tie. You can even use like a hand towel or a sweat towel, skipping rope, anything that's tight and not stretchy that you can stretch against, and roughly about arm width apart, arm width and length. So I come into a lying position. We're going to start with the right leg today. The strap is going around the ball of my foot. My left leg is straight, flat on the ground. There's a little bend in my right knee. I'm pulling it back, stretching the back of that leg. Pulling my elbows in nice and close to myself. Now, because my right leg is up, I'm going to take both ends of the strap in my left hand, so my opposite hand, keeping my hips flat on the ground. I'm just going to gently pull that leg across my body. So I'm not rolling onto the side, my hips are staying in contact with the ground. You should feel that stretch on the outside of that right thigh. It's not a huge movement, and in order to get the benefit of the stretch, you need to keep those hips in contact with the mat. Also, my foot is still flat, I'm not pointing my toes. It's going to keep those the back of your leg muscles engaged. Okay, I'm going to take the strap in my right hand now, so the same hand, and open it out to the side. So make sure you're not lying right next to something that's going to stop you from opening up that stretch. My hips are still in contact with the ground. This time, however, the stretch is on the inside of the thigh. Bring it up, loosen the strap. I'm going to head back onto my mat and we'll do the other side. Strap is going around the ball of my left foot this time. My right leg is nice and straight on the ground. Wrap the straps around my hands, pulling my elbows in. There's a little bend in my left leg. I'm going to take both ends of the strap in my right hand, so my opposite hand, gently pull the leg across my body, keeping my hips in contact with the ground. I'm going to take both ends of the strap in my left hand now, so my same side, and open that leg up to the left side, this time stretching the inner thigh. Still got a good hold on the strap, my leg isn't resting on the ground. And release. Good. You can put your straps to one side. Come back to a seated position for our lotus stretches. I'll fix my hair. Excuse me. Hey. Okay, we're going to head into our lotus sequence now. So the first thing we're going to do is attempt our full or our half lotus position, doing a little bit of a body scan at the time to see anywhere that's tight or uncomfortable, so we can compare it to the end, but also so you can keep track of what areas you want to be stretching and working on in order to achieve that lotus that you want to do. So half lotus, remember, is just one leg on top of the other. My ankles are nice and free. I can feel the stretch, that sort of outside hip and glute area. Otherwise it's pretty comfortable. Always good to try both sides as well, just to see the difference. One might be easier than the other. I can feel more of a stretch in the same place on this side, but it's pretty much the same. The other side was a little bit more comfortable. Alright, the first stretch we're going to do in our lotus sequence is our butterfly. So we sat in this position at the start. This time we're going to do flying butterfly, where our knees are coming up and down. So I'm going to link my fingers together, wrap them around my feet. Instead of sitting nice and still though, I'm going to flap my butterfly wings. First I'm going to scratch my nose. Back nice and straight. Keep breathing nice deep breaths. This is just encouraging those inner hip muscles to just lengthen a little bit at a time. When you do a warm-up for like a workout, you do a dynamic warm-up and dynamic stretches at the beginning. It's the same kind of idea. We're moving the muscles that we want to stretch rather than just forcing them into that stretch position straight away. Okay, from here we're going to stop our butterfly wings from flying, bring our elbows onto our calves, pulling our upper body forward, keeping that back nice and straight. Ooh, getting foot cramp at the same time. And we're going to think about sinking into the stretch a little bit at a time every time we exhale. Slowly going to come up. We're going to do some different lotus stretches today. So we're going to start with our side pigeon stretch. So my left leg is coming across my body in front of me as if I was just sitting comfortably. Now my right leg is in that side straddle stretch that we would usually do. Instead of staying here, I'm going to bend the knee and that right leg is going to go backwards. From here, I'm going to pick up that right foot and pull my heel in towards my glutes, just like we did in our half pry pose when we were lying face down on the mat. So this is stretching all around here. However, it does twist the knee joint a little bit, so we're not going to hold it for too long today. Now I'm not leaning all the way over like this, keeping a relatively upright position, pulling that heel in towards the glute, or to the hip I should say. So this is a variation of a pigeon stretch as well. You can start to try and work your arm around your foot so that your foot is resting in the crook of your elbow. However, that's a bit of an extension, so don't worry if you can't do that just yet. I can't do it just yet. I used to be able to, but it's been a while. Alright, let's swap it over. So I'm going to bring my right leg in front of me, left leg out to the side, then I'm just going to bend that knee and that left leg goes back. Picking up the left foot, pulling the heel into the hip. And relax. Okay, for this next one, bring your legs out in front of you. Now this one can be a little bit tricky depending on how tight you are in the hips. So if you can't do this one, that's totally fine. Okay, so this is a leg cradle. So it's going to look a little bit funny, but it's a really good intense stretch, and there is an extension that I might show you in a different class. But for today, what we're going to do is pick up the left leg first. Bring it across your thigh, and then what I'm going to do is scoop up that foot to the crook of my elbow. If you can do the same, getting that knee into the crook of your elbow on the other side, then that's even better, but for me I can't do that, I'm not that flexible. So I'm just going to hold on to my thigh around my knee. I'm going to sit up, bringing that leg straight across your chest, nice and close to your chest, and we're going to rock it from side to side. So if you've got your knee in the crook of your elbow, bring your hands together. Otherwise, just holding on to that thigh is totally fine. So this leg straight across, and it's nice and close to my chest. And bring it down, swap them over. So left leg goes out straight. That whole time, I don't know if you can see my bottom leg. It is in contact and resting on the ground. Alright. Oh, there we go, that's tight today. If it's feeling uncomfortable to keep the foot in the crook of your elbow, you can just hold on to the ankle, just like you're holding on to the hip. It's not to the hip, to the knee. Try and keep it as close to your chest as possible and straight up. And relax. Okay, one more before we reattempt our lotus is our knee drops. So you can see what I'm doing. My hands are going to come back behind me. I've got my feet on the ground, my knees up with a generous distance between them because we're going to rotate. Inside and outside knee are coming down to touch the ground. So I'm just moving from side to side, letting my inside and outside knee on each leg come down to touch the ground. nice and slowly. And just like that butterfly at the beginning of this sequence, we're doing a dynamic stretch for these muscles. So instead of holding a pose, we're moving through. You might find that you shuffle around on your butt for this one. That's okay. If you need to pick up and readjust, go ahead. You should start to feel it loosen up a little bit and get easier to come down to the ground. Okay, you can do as many of those as you want. I used to make my yoga club boys do 100. I'm not going to make you do 100. But now it's time to reattempt our half lotus or our full lotus position. Just take a minute to have a scan and see if you notice any differences. You might not. We've just done like 5-6 stretches in a short amount of time, so it's not going to be glaringly obvious. But the more that you do that sequence and practice those types of stretches, you will start to see a difference. In fact, a lot of the stretches that we did today will help you with your lotus position because we're working on releasing tight lower body. Okay, so that's us for today. That is your lower body release sequence. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.